using that company database, we are talking about the ER modeling. So E represents the entity and R represents the relationship. Even the software that you are going to use, and you need to install, one more time, you need to install the Ogrin software, the data modeler. There are several products. You can install the data modeler. Okay, so this one actually named after ER model. So our conceptual modeling name. So ER modeling. Next class we will talk about the additional thing. It's called the ER modeling, extended ER model. What enhanced the ER model. On top of ER model, there's additional the concept that is ER. So pretty much we are going to use such an ER model, but mostly in general we are going to say the ER modeling. So what is the step of the ER model that we started the last class? First we are going to identify entities. What is an entity? Entity is entity. It's a thing, existing thing that we are interested to manage, right? So sometimes it's just a vague, but if you can find. So this is a real story. So when you are doing the database project after graduation, you get a job, then you will have a meeting with your customer. Then your customer will ask, I need a database to manage my pizza, the branches. Then explain some of the requirements, but sometimes they will give a bunch of the document or the book or something, policy or whatever. Then you need to realize which part will be considered for your part of your database. Then first thing is you need to find that something that is called the entity. So how can you find the entity? So most of the first thing is if your customer is very, very nice, well organized, they will give such a description. Like for example, the company is organized into department. Then department is entity. It's very easy. However, real story is not like that. They will give the bunch of the number only. Then you need to identify which one is it. Sometimes it will start from like this. League and admin and 111 and James developer and 112 and Patel is the admin and 110 like this. This is the one real thing instance. This is another real thing instance. This is another one. So we call each of them as an entity. Also, you may have the HR, okay, the New York, and 100, whatever. This is the entity. But you may realize this group of entity is different from this. So by combining this group of entities, you can find the name or ID. This is for employee. Entity, actually this is called type. Okay? Think about the type. When we are talking about the data type in computer system, type is to generalize a structure. Number type, integer type is all integer number, whole number, right? And the float is something precision, detail. So by grouping, we define that this is something type. So same thing. By grouping all of this, describe name, role, ID as an employee, entity type. But as I said, entity type and entity are interchangeably used. Okay? So first thing is we are going to find, actually our goal is to find entity type, but that means we need to find the entity. So in your first exercise, the first phase 1 project, so do you have your customer in your project? No. You are pretending customer, as well as the developer, as well as the data modeler, and all the role you are going to do. So in your page one, it's mostly define what your customer is asking. So does the customer know about your database? No. So you don't need any database knowledge and anything, just in this UV event management system, and make the bullet or the describe the requirement. Okay? It should be perfect. No, later you may realize some of them are possible, some of them you don't need. You can change it later. Okay? But this is the guideline to start. Then in your page 2, you will do this kind of thing. Okay? To identify the entity from your requirement or the description. Or sometimes you make the bullet of the user list of the whole, all event, including this information, something like that. Then you are able to identify there is an event, the entity type, and so on. So, for example, in this simple, very simple database, company database, what can be the entity? First, we identify department. Department. Okay, and also we found project. And also we found employee. And also we found one more thing is we decide to use diagram to represent each of the concept of the ER modeling. For example, entity or entity type, rectangular. So, for example, rectangle, 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 like that. Because the diagram is much easier to understand. So sometimes it's called the ER diagram. So your output should be ER diagram. Or in your midterm exam, please draw the ER diagram for this description for practice. Okay, so this is the first step. Very easy to identify. Actually, in real life project, it's not very easy. Sometimes very confusing. If you do not know meaning of the department, very hard. Because of that, first step is especially conceptual modeling, the database skill or IT skill. We don't need computer science skill. Instead, we need domain knowledge. So if you are not familiar with what is an event at UB, so search the Google or meet the person who is in charge of that, and you need to study. That's really natural. Okay, that's really happen, right? When you get a job, you need to build a bank database. You should know what is a loan, what is the saving account, and the checking account, everything. You need to study. Okay, so that is the first step. Using the rectangular, we can represent entity type. Second step is attribute. What is an attribute? That describes entity type. For example, if you go to the bullet 1, first bullet, each department has a name, number, employee who manages the department. So each department has such an information. At that time, we consider this information that describes the entity as the attribute. So for example, we have a name. So name, others, number, and manager, because one who manages and keep track of the start date, several locations, like that. Also, for the diagram, we are going to use the over and connect. to the corresponding entity type. For example, name, connect. Number, connect. Manager, connect. Start date, connect. Patient, connect. Like this. I strongly suggest to using the scratch paper. Follow the step, or using the handout, draw. It's totally different. At least for your midterm exam, it's totally different. Whether you can answer the question or not. It's very simple because it's one of the easiest, like the hello world. Hello world example, everybody can understand. But if I give the real life the example, it may not be easy. At least, for example, draw the diagram. So please, the practice with your scratch paper. Even though you understand from the mind lecture, you'd better practice with your own hand. I strongly suggest to practice. Okay, then, for example, project. Project, we have the unique name and the number. Let's name, number, what else? Location. Same thing. Like this. What else? The employee. Social security number. And the address. And the salary. And sex. And birthday. DOB. Date of birth. Anything else? The others such as so we can connect. Then dependent. We may have a number of dependent. For each dependent, we keep track of name, sex, DOB, date of birth, and relationship. Connect. That's the second step. So, second step, identify the corresponding attribute, a number of attributes that describe the entity. At this time, we will take a look at a little bit more attribute type. So some of the attribute is just a single value. Name, how many department name? One department name. So name, number is an attribute. Such a normal attribute is called a single attribute. However, sometimes you may see the, for example, how many locations of the department. If you read this one, multiple locations. So you have the multi-value attribute. So like for example, location. So at this time, we are going to use the double over to represent multi-valued one. Okay, is there any other multi-valued?
Name.
Which name?
First name, last name, middle name. Any name.
Any name. How many names?
Employee name.
Employee name? Where's the employee name? How many names?
First
Sorry.
name, last name.
But first name, last name, middle name, anyway, it's a group of name. Okay? How many names you have?
Just one.
Just one. It's a single attribute. Okay? So we can consider single value attribute or multi-valued attribute. We will see why this ER modeling is very serious for the multi-valued one later. Okay? Anyone?
Dependent name.
Dependency?
Dependent name.
A dependent name. However, for each dependent, anyway, it's one name. So it's a single value. But it's a location for one department, multiple, clearly mentioned multiple location. Why? But my question is, why we are very serious about that multi-value?
It
Yes.
should be in all the locations, or like it should be in all the table, like location we have.
So this will be like the, for example, the HR in New York, Seattle, and the Dallas, like this. One attribute but multiple value. Why this one is so serious? I never consider multi-valued when I do the UML modeling or object-oriented modeling. But ER modeling need to take care. The reason is that later we will see relational database model, IDBMS. IDB only take care single value, not set, not multi-value. It is totally fine if we are using UML or object-oriented concept. They can take care this one. But relational database model only one value for each attribute. Do you know why? If you have the multiple value, it will be difficult to find the value. It's not only for this one, you need to generalize all the system. Each attribute has the value. You need to take care every time. It's a huge difference. So your system will be slow. Because of that, relational database, to manage the very large data, only one value for each attribute. So that is the reason we identified the multi-value. One more type of the attribute is, as she suggests, sometimes name can be first name, middle name, and last name. Combination of this. For example, address is the street number, street name, and the town, city name. What else? And the state name and zip code. You can separate one of them address and one name. This is called composite attribute. For example, we have the address somewhere. Address. So this address can be the city, town, state, and this is a zip code, like this one. And can That's convenient. So this is called composite attribute. How can we represent? We can use the tree structure. Okay, from the here entity address has. Sometimes city can be composite. If that is true, you can do it such a way. Then, as she suggests, what about the name? Name can be first name, middle name initial, last name. So, do I have to, or is this okay? Which one is correct one?
This one.
This one is correct one? We cannot say. We don't know. Unfortunately, not only this one, but all of this modeling, there is no general solution. Somebody may argue, I don't think dependent is the entity. Dependent is the attribute of employee. It may be true. Okay? You can argue. But everybody agrees that this one. Why? Guideline is always this. It's your customer clearly mentioned. And dependent is the blah blah blah, which means dependent will be considered as an entity. So name, is there any first name, last name, middle name, initial here? No. Which means we don't have to. Even though that is really true general, the most important thing is your customer requirement. Even though that is stupid, if that company doesn't care the first name, middle name, initial, last name, you don't have to. Okay? Also, one more thing is you need to take a look at what? First page. Why don't you go to the first page? Do you remember the diagram? The left-hand side is what? Left-hand side, first page, left-hand side. Functional analysis. Okay? You need to analyze your function, your program. For example, if your system, future system, or such a functional analysis never access middle name initial, Do you need to create a database for middle and initial? No. For example, if your system always manage the 100 University Avenue, Bridgeport, and 06604 together as a string in your system, do I need to separate the city name, state name, this one? Yes or no? We don't have to. So, that means from time to time, that is the reason arrow is in and out. You need to take a look at functional analysis. You are manning, you are the interface. Then if you never access such a this and this and this, you don't have to create a composite. Okay, same thing, the name. Okay. However, if your system the access only zip code, customer by IC code, then you should. Okay. That is the reason there is no general solution of the ER model. That is a problem on your midterm exam. Okay. So in my exam, I try to my best to minimize ambiguity, clearly mention. So your answer should be based on your knowledge? No. Only given information. Even though your expertise on the bank or it doesn't matter. Only based on this one. So that's the true in real life project. It always should be based on customer requirement, not based on your experience. Then, if that is not mentioned here, but you need to decide sometime. At that time, you are able to consider your experience. Like based on my experience, mostly this one is better for future. You can suggest. Sometimes you need to compromise such a requirement with the customer and the info. We are going to this way and so on. So that is the type of attribute you need to decide, whether single attribute or multi-valued or composite attribute. So that is the second step. One more thing. One more thing is here. So you need to decide the type of attribute. Key attribute. How many of them heard about the primary key? Okay? Forget about primary key. Okay? From now on, we don't know anything about the primary key. Even though you learn, you use, we do not know the primary key. Then key means, so do you remember when we identify the entity type, we have the list of entities by grouping. Okay? Same attribute, so we define entity type. For example, employee has 111 lead and admin. 112 and so on. At this time, if you can find a certain attribute that is able to identify each entity, this attribute is called key entity. Okay? Key entity is a key attribute that can identify the entity, the something or instance. So that is a key attribute. In this case, the key attribute is the ID, for example. One more thing. What about ID plus name? Maybe possible. So sometimes key attribute is not just a single attribute, it's the composite key attribute, combined two or more. It is okay, totally fine. That's a key attribute. Okay, let's find. Department. Which one will be the key attribute? Obviously, number. What about name?
Can't be.
But unless your customer is stupid, they will not make the same name of the department. So this time, yes, it can be considered. Right? What about here? Project. It's clearly mentioned. Unique name, unique number. Unique. Unique is a very strong word. Nobody uses actually. But in the database model, it's very important. If that is unique, please. This also. Then, what about the employee? SSN, obviously. What about the name? You should be careful. there might be possibility, same name, common name of employee. So we may not use the name as the key. Dependent. Name? No. So for example, I'm employed, he is also employed, he has a son named Nicholas, I have Nicholas, maybe if we are the same last name, same name, of dependent, right? So we cannot use it. There's no key attribute. So one more thing is, it is possible entity does not have key attribute. Little bit remind the primary key. In the database later, is it possible to have the table without primary key? No.
No.
So should, must. That is the consent, that is the rule later. Then again, forget about the primary key. This one key attribute is okay if you do not find. What about the multiple? It's also fine. It's not composite, one key, another key. It's also totally fine. So it's very flexible. So at that time, such a key attribute is underline. So we can underline, 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 and underline, but this is not, there's no underline. Okay? What about? Just in case, this is just an example. Name plus sex is the key attribute. It may be possible, right? Composite key attribute. It's just an example at the time. If that is composite key attribute, you can underline but connect it. How many key attribute? One key attribute, but they are composite. Name plus sex is the unique. Okay? Do you understand the difference? This one and this one? How many key attributes in this entity? Name, number, 2 key attributes. How many key attributes here? 1, but it's a composite, so you should connect at that time. So, but this is not true, so we will erase. So that is up to second step. Step 1, step 2, identifying the attribute. The next one is the other half. So we already did the half of the ER modeling. It's a very simple and everybody can understand. That is a benefit. That is the reason ER modeling used general, not only database, software engineering, programming modeling, and even your real life, you can do that. Okay? So, for example, when you return to your home, what is the first reaction of your parents? Welcome, and then a couple of days later, your mom will be yelling, clean up your room, and arrange it. Then think about the clean up your room. What is the best way to clean up your room? So you need to combine the similar subject, like the database subject and the operating system subject, and combine. So if you see our procedure, we compile the similar or the same type of the data. Okay? That's the idea. Department, we take care of the all department entity, all project. Not mixed. Okay? Then organized by attribute. And some of the you need to label. When you arrange the bookshelf, you need to give the label, like the by name, author's name. Otherwise, it will be hard to find where it is. And project, I have a bunch of projects in my office and arranged by the project ID. It's a key attribute. Okay. Same thing. Such an ER modeling concept, actually you have learned before in your life. So that is the reason ER modeling is popular and very powerful. Next step is, if you take a look at our requirement, okay? For example, first bullet, there is an employee who manages the department. Actually, what is the department? Department is here, entity, that described. So manager, department. Yes, it's an attribute. Okay. However, this manager is also what? Employee. So where it belongs? Department or employee? Both of them. So if you just take care of the department, the for manager, you may lose some information. Okay? So to address that problem, instead of attribute, even though first time I create the manager as an attribute, we change it mind. So think about the, for example, lead, manage the HR, partner, manage the admin, James, manage payroll. One relationship, another relationship, another relationship. But you can see this is what? Employee. And also this is the department, which means employee manage department. We can find relationship between two entities. That's different from the attribute. So we take out that, such a characteristic, then manage. Manage. Okay? Then connect two corresponding relative attributes. At that time, we are going to use, this is a relationship. So diamond shape, okay, as a symbol, which means like this. So which means employee manage department. Okay. At that time, this is called one relationship, as if we use entity. Entity, entity, entity. Similarly, relationship, relationship, relationship. Then by combining all the same relationship, we are going to define relationship type. So manage is the relationship type actually. However, we use the entity instead of entity type, right? Same thing. When I'm saying the relationship, that means relationship type. But to identify the relationship type, you can start from such a grouping, the same relationships. Or if your customer is very, very nice, clearly mention. So employee, manage department. Okay? So that is the manage. What else relationship can you find? Control. Each department controls a number of projects. Each department controls project. What else? You may realize italic, already italic for your help. Okay? So then next one, each employee works